Welcome back. In the last module, we talked about how Atlas Reasoning Engine plans and picks action behind the scene. Today, we are done talking theory. We are moving to actual build something. By the end of this module, you will have a live agent for service agent for Coral Cloud Resorts with its very first sub-agent scope to excursion cancellation and rebooking. Quick orientation before we dive in. Module 3 is entirely configuration, no Apex, no flow logic yet. That's the coming in module 4. Right now, our job is to give the agent a name, a purpose, and its first area of expertise. Everything you will do lives inside Agent Builder in setup, so keep that tab open. Quick heads up vocabulary before we start checking Salesforce. Salesforce has renamed topics to Subagent in April of 2026. Same underlying features, no functional change, just a new label. If your org or a slightly older doc still says topic, treat it as identical to subagent. Let's make sure the mental model is solid. A service agent isn't one big blob of instruction. It's organized into subagents, which are areas of expertise, and actions are things that agent can actually do. The reasoning engine job is to look at what a guest says and decide which sub-agent applies and which action, if any, needs to run. For Coral Cloud, we are starting with one sub-agent, everything related to a guest excursion getting cancelled and needing to be rebooked. Let's build it. Head into setup. In the quick find box, we'll type agents and then we're going to select it. So I'm in Salesforce now. Let's go to setup, search for agents. Click on new agent. And over here, we will select this agent for service agent. Let's go back to presentation. When you get to the naming screen, use Coral Cloud Guest Concierge as the label. That's the name guest and your team will see in the transcript, so make it recognizable. Give it a description that exactly says what it does, helping guests manage excursion booking, cancellation, and rebooking. So if I go over here, we'll give an agent a name. We'll select an existing user, or we can create a new user also. Now over here, you have two views. One is script view, the second one is the canvas view. And these are the different sub-agents. Some of these we don't need it, so we will delete it as of now. Let's go back to presentation. So let's see this description. So I'm just going to edit the description. Let's save it. And let's look into the canvas mode. The description is now changed. Let's go to script mode again. And then we have something called as role. Let's go to the next slide. Once you save, you will see you land in the main agent builder canvas. Take a second to notice the layout. These sub-agents on one side, action available to the agents and the instruction editor, and a live preview panel on the right where you can chat with the agent. So we have got this particular thing. If I preview it, then I can chat with the agent over here. Then on the left hand side, I've got these sub-agents. And we are also going to create our own sub-agent for the excursion booking and cancellation. So these all are sub-agents which are inbuilt because of the template that we selected. So this is service customer verification where we have these two actions available. Verify customer is going to call a flow which will be used to verify a customer. Similarly, we have FAQ, we have case management. So few of these are not needed, which we will remove it. We have something called as escalation. If you want to escalate it to a human. So we have this escalation to a human also. Now let's try to understand what is a sub-agent. Before we create our first sub-agent, let's talk about what a sub-agent actually is and a quick vocabulary note. While we are here, this used to be called a topic before Salesforce April 2026 rename. So you will still see topic in some older docs and orgs mid-transition. A sub-agent is self-contained bundle of scope, instruction, and example phrases, all focused on one slice of the guest experience. The reasoning engine uses the scope to decide does this incoming message belongs to the sub-agent. For us, that slice is excursion cancellation and rebooking. Nothing about billing, nothing about room service, just excursion. Now let's create it. When we go back to the agent builder, we'll click a new sub agent and we'll label it as Coral Cloud Excursions. So over here, if I want to create a new sub agent, I'll say new sub agent. I'll give it a name and then I can put a description. So I put a name and in the description I says handle guest asking about cancelled or rescheduled excursion booking, questions about the cancellation and rebooking policy, and request to find an alternative. Just mention demo over here. Let's say create and open. Now let's go back to presentation. Now we have to define the scope. This is a sentence or few sentences that tells the reasoning engine exactly when to hand a conversation to this sub-agent. I want you to be specific. This sub-agent handles guests asking about cancelled or rescheduled excursion bookings, questions about the cancellation and rebooking policy, and requests to find an alternative slot. If you are too vague here, the agent will misfire on things it shouldn't touch. If you are too narrow, it will never trigger at all. Now, here's a distinction that trips a lot of people up when they are new to Agentforce. Agent Builder gives each subagent a single instruction field, but not everything you write into it carries the same weight. Some lines are hard line or hard rules. The agent doesn't get to negotiate with them. Other lines are more like coaching on tone and style, preferably, but not absolute. Getting the split right inside that one field is what separates agents and behave predictably from one that's technically compliant sound like a robot, or worse, one that's pleasant but breaks your business rule. So if you go back, we've got instructions over here. We have to write instructions, what this particular agent is expected to do, what are the boundaries for that. So over here in the instruction we have written, only discuss excursion booking that belongs to this guest, never reference another guest booking, never confirm a rebooking without checking real availability. Then we have an action which we're going to create in the next module. If a guest refund requests over $150 or they ask for a VIP room upgrade, use go to escalation. So there is another one. Always reference the excursion cancellation booking policy when explaining why an excursion was cancelled. Acknowledge the guest disappointment before offering solution. This is for the tone. After the action returns, tell the guest the outcome using the exact new status. So these are the variables that we have. Let's go back presentation. So the hard rules are only discuss booking tied to the guest own contact record. Never confirm a rebooking without checking real availability first. And if a refund request goes above $150, don't touch it. That's an escalation, which we'll build out in module 10. We will also require the agent to always reference the excursion, cancellation, and booking policy when explaining a cancellation. So guests get a consistent policy-backed answer. Now let's add the other category of instruction further down in that same field. That is where we shape personality. We want the agent to sound like a warm resort concierge, not a call center script. So if you go back, so this is what after the action returns, tell the guest the outcome using the exact new status. So here we are setting the tone also. So now let's talk about tone and style. So always acknowledge the guest disappointment before jumping to solution. Keep it concise because a lot of guests are on their phone, at the pool, or checking in at the front desk. And be proactive about offering alternatives rather than just saying that's not available. Notice the difference in weight, even though both live in the same instruction field. You never want the tone preferences enforced as strictly as the refund threshold, and you never want the refund rule to be optional based on the value. Let's also give the agent some sample utterances. Real faces a guest might actually type or say things like, my hike got cancelled, what are my options? Or can I reschedule my sunset snorkeling tour? These aren't just examples for human reading the conflict. They help the reasoning engine recognize the pattern of a real request route it took this agent correctly. Now is the time to see it in action with nothing but words, no custom action wired up yet. Open the panel and then you're going to type my guided volcano I got cancelled. What are my options? So just go back. Let's preview it. Let's see what the response is. So over here it says, I could not retrieve specific option for your guided welcome, like cancellation. Would you like to speak with a live agent? So over here, if you would have seen on the right hand side, it it also tells you how it reasoned. So over here it says the agent routed to general FAQ subagents and attempted to use the answer questions, but there was nothing in the FAQ. So over here in this particular subagent, it could not find anything. So as of now, the agent does not have any booking data, no real availability check. That gap is intentional. It's exactly what we are going to close with a flow in the next module. Let's recap. You have a real name service agent, Coral Cloud Guest Concierge, with one fully scoped sub-agent covering excursion, cancellation, and rebooking, complete with hard rule and tone and style instruction plus sample utterances. It talks the talk. What it can't do yet is walk the walk. Actually find an open slot and update a booking record. That's module 4, where we build the automated flow that does exactly